Alright everyone, welcome back to another tier list video, and today we have one for Anime Crusaders, which is a brand new tower defense that literally just released today, and I've had early access for about 2 days now, and I felt like I've used the characters enough to know where they're all gonna go on this tier list. So, little guidelines before I start getting into this tier list is I'm only really doing mythics or usable or good characters. So these rares and epics down here, these probably aren't gonna get ranked. Same for most of the legendaries. So please keep that in mind through this tier list. But with all that being said, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. It greatly helps me get these videos out. And now let's jump into this. So before we get started, let's just get all of these random characters out of the way. So like Speed Cart, he's a epic farm unit. You guys are definitely gonna need and pick him up. He's literally the only farm unit in the game, so I suggest getting him. Next unit I'm gonna put here is Greybeard. He is a great slow and he's also full AoE, which is really useful. Next we have Rukia, which she is a super good early game freeze. Super easy to pick up, like I said as well. She's a legendary unit you could just pick straight up off of banner, just like that. Next we have Koichi, who is a slow as well, which honestly he's better than Blackbeard in my opinion, so I'm probably going to move Blackbeard down a little bit. And that's probably about it. If you guys are missing a hill, you don't have a hill unit or you don't have a hybrid, I guess Frieza could be decent as well because he's a decent legendary hill, but now we can finally jump into the main course, which is the mythics. So the first mythic I want to jump into here is Super Saiyan 3 Goku. This is the one I've used the most in the game, and he is a heal unit with his passive being super nice. His passive is basically the more kills you get, he just stacks up a bunch of damage and then just drops it all at once. This game does have passives. Some characters do and don't, but most of the passives are very basic and they're not character defining. And that's not an insult towards the game, right? That's just me saying that. Alright, so next we have Gojo. So Gojo actually has pretty okay damage. You're going to notice that all of these mythics are going to be good damage-wise just because it's the release of the game, but Gojo is more of a support because I believe he's stunning, but he's also time-stopping, which is really useful. It's the whole reason you'd even use him. Next, we have Hai, or Hei. I'm not entirely sure how you pronounce his name, but he is from the Battle Pass, and he's actually genuinely a very great unit. I'm probably going to put him right here in the top of great. I don't think he's meta because he's a little gimmicky, but his damage is super great and his passives are nice. It's just his passives are set up in a way to where you need it to perfectly line up for it to work, which if it does work, he'd probably easily be right up here meta ground, but most of the time I'm just going to put him in great. By the way, guys, if I forget what a character does, or maybe I forget a little bit of their passive, don't shoot the messenger, right? This is my first. The game's been out for 2 days, right? So every unit I haven't really got into. Next we have is Enel. So Enel, I'm actually going to put in meta hybrid. Enel is a meta hybrid unit. He is very good. His whole thing is probably he's hybrid on placement, which is probably the best thing about him. But if any enemy has any CC effect on them, so they're slowed, frozen, stunned, he will strip that away and do tons of damage to that character. I believe he also shocks. He does electricity or something when you evolve him. I'm not entirely sure on that, but he's crazy. Alright, so next character I have here, so Geto, I'm actually going to put right above Enel in meta hybrid. His whole thing is he's a summoner unit only, so he doesn't do damage other than just summoning enemies, and these enemies can hit air and ground enemies, so it is really useful. His summons have a lot of HP, and he's a very good starter unit for a lot of you guys. Next character we have is Boo. So Boo, I'm probably going to end up putting in meta ground as our first meta ground unit. His whole shtick is basically he has a bar where if enemies die in his range, he gets damage, and he also can, once the bar hits 50, he can start doing clone attacks, which is basically you just will do a second attack. That's a follow-up, so that is really good. Next is Shanks. So Shanks is mainly going to be used for his support, so I think I'm going to put him at the top of support, but his damage is genuinely really good. I'm not going to lie, he has pretty good damage. He stuns, and basically with how low the enemy is, he will do more damage to that enemy, so he's one of those gimmicky type units, but he's still pretty good. Alright, so next is Ant King. Alright, so next is actually going to be Ant King. You actually pick this guy up from the banner, and I'm probably going to put him right above High. He doesn't have a passive or really do anything gimmicky. He's just a flat damage ground unit. He's not bad, but you could definitely get better units of the game. I wish he had a passive because that would have made him really good. But next we have Hyen, which she is quite a bit better than Ant King, thankfully, and she's probably going to be thrown around right here under Boo and meta ground. I think she's a really great unit. Essentially what she does is she'll mark people on the map, and then those marked enemies take more damage, and then she also every 5th attack just does a bunch of damage. So she's actually a pretty good unit. She's pretty simple. Her passive's not super complicated, but that's all right. It doesn't need to be anything crazy. All right, so next is Toji. Toji I'm gonna put at the top of meta ground. I think he is great. One of his things is he inflicts bleed, which obviously you guys know stops regen, which is really useful. Toji is basically stacking crit rate and crit damage, which is really useful. And then he also does true damage. And then every time he attacks the same enemy, he does a ton more damage. So it's pretty simple, but he's still a pretty good unit. So next we have Chun-In. I can't remember his actual name, but he's going to be a meta hill right behind Goku. I would say he does a little less damage than Goku. And also Goku is a 5 placement. His whole gimmick is that he's basically a burn unit that is a hill 4 placement, and he does a bunch of damage to frozen enemies. So next character we have is going to be Rimuru, aka Slime. All right, so Slime, I'm probably going to put them bottom of meta ground. Actually, no, I put him above Chien. So Slime does a lot of damage. They are a ground only unit, but every minute and a half, Slime devours a random enemy, dealing 250% damage to that enemy. And then also, if an enemy is killed by Slime, Slime gets a bunch of buffs, which is really useful. Slime is a magic water ground unit, so that is actually a pretty rare typing as well. Next is actually going to be Ichigo. I'm personally going to put him at the bottom of meta ground. I think he is really useful and can be super useful. It's just there's a lot of magic units in the game, and especially that are already ground, so he struggles a little bit, and he is a little gimmicky because he has to transform and untransform. But next is I is probably going to be top of farms and support. She's someone you should definitely grab. She's a banner unit. She does the exact same thing as AA, where she makes all your units cheaper and also buffs their range and damage, which is always going to be useful. But finally, that lands us at the secret characters. So a little spoiler alert, none of the secrets are bad, so just be prepared for this. But first we have Broly. Broly is insane. He's probably going to be at the top of meta hybrid. Basically, he just nukes every couple attacks. He just keeps doing more and more damage. And he is hybrid on upgrade. I think it's like final upgrade or something. He gets hybrid, so that is really useful. All right, so next we have Sun Jin Woo. Sun Jin Woo is going to be top of meta ground. This guy is disgusting, and he just summons a bunch of characters. They do a lot of damage. For each summon he has on the map, he gets more damage. His damage is ridiculously high. He is a physical dark unit as well. Next is we have Sid. Sid I'm going to put right behind Broly because at least with Broly is super consistent. You just know what he's going to do. Sid takes a little bit to start getting there. And Sid also requires stunned enemies, so if you're running Sid, you basically need Shanks with you as well, but Sid is a super amazing hybrid unit as well. Alright, next unit we have here is Law. I'm going to put him right here. He doesn't have any passives, but he just does a ridiculous amount of damage, and he is a physical water unit, which is great to see. Very useful unit. And then finally, our final unit is going to be Igris, which he is going to be physical Rose. And the reason Igris is so good, and I'm going to put him right behind Law, is because if you have him and Sun Jin Woo next to each other, they're going to be doing bonus damage. And Igris's damage is actually ridiculous. The only issue is you basically need a Sun Jin Woo on your team to even use Igris, which is the only sucky part of it. But Igris, ridiculous damage, guys. I'm also going to throw Uryu up in here just in case you need another heal unit. Rose is also a super good legendary, and then Yuji's probably the worst legendary, but this is going to wrap up my tier list, guys. If you enjoyed today's video, please make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you disagree with anything, let me know down in the comments. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video, but with all that being said, I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. See ya.